Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be putting on our serious caps for tonight's episode of the Demons from Outer Space. Dylan McCandless, Super DM64, putting on his 10-gallon thinking cap to join me here for a scientific inquest. Correct, Dylan?
Yeah.
So, we are going to be doing another science episode here on the Demons from Outer Space, where we go through a bunch of articles that I've saved over the past months that I haven't read yet, but I vaguely understand based on the context of the headlines, which is exactly how we like to live our lives.
This will be interesting. I kind of had to stop looking at IFL Science for a while because I was getting too depressed. Every post was either, hey, America's doing less science, or hey, China's doing more science. And I was like, oh god, we're being taken over. It's already happening. I can see it.
Yeah, it is a little too real for me sometimes, but I largely save when dinosaurs happen, or when there's like some animal shit, or if there's something like vaccine, or just something that would be amusing for us to cover. So yeah. We're going to stick within that wheelhouse tonight. No politics, no agendas, no art installations. It's going to be all strict, cold analysis in the field, you know.
All I will say is start learning Chinese, motherfuckers.
Do you think you can learn Chinese?
Probably not,
yeah.
Which is a problem because you know those genetically engineered super soldiers are gonna know kung fu, so we are fucked.
You think they're out there?
They're working on it, man.
Do you think it's like North Korea making the nuclear weapons, like? China's super soldier program is just like they're just like launching giant men out of cannons and they're just like running into the woods.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we can't agree on whether it's getting warmer, and we can't even put a car in space without everybody losing their shit. So.
Did I save the thing about it maybe crashing into the? Well, why don't we start with that? So let's start with the Tesla Roadster and. Elon Musk sending it into fucking space.
Yeah, so that's the story.
Yeah, well, basically. But
what David Bowie song did they use again? It wasn't. It wasn't.
It was Starman.
That's right. Okay, I was about to say it wasn't.
There were a bunch of songs on there. It was all kinds of stuff.
Okay, I was about to say it wasn't the one where the ground control to Major Tom.
No, it was not ground control to Major Tom. That would have been disastrous. Although I think because it had a lot of music that wasn't constantly playing saved on the hard drive that was in it, putting that on there would have been fine, but you don't have that playing. Like, that's just bad luck. But, so yeah, the whole goal of it was reusable space travel. Correct?
I guess. I just looked at Facebook and there was a car in space, and I was like, oh, cool. I don't know what Elon Musk is a mysterious individual. I don't know what he's doing. He's the closest thing that we have to Iron Man, and I think it's safe that we just leave it at
that. Hopefully he won't lead a registration act that'll result in an airport being destroyed, because that's just not fun. But he may result in an airport being destroyed anyway, because apparently one of the concerns now is that the Roadster may crash back to Earth. Because it's going to orbit back to Earth, and it's supposed to pass us, but it might not. It might come crashing back down Quatermass experiment style.
And it might crash into
it's going to bring with it like the mannequin's going to come back alive, and it's going to be like an alien entity like trying to conquer us.
Right. See, I would rather that it misses us, goes off into space, and becomes a fucking Big Getty star. And then comes back and destroys us Star Trek the Motion Picture style.
It has been officially registered as a heavenly body, though, by NASA.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Those tunes were certainly heavenly.
But the whole purpose of it was to do something interesting with the payload of an experimental rocket, because usually they don't do that. Usually they just send up like a block of metal or something to represent weight that they would want to ideally propel with rocket fuel. So, he sent a Tesla Roadster with a mannequin in it and all the crap that we mentioned. So it's more interesting, more fun, more inspiring than, like I said, a block of metal, which is what NASA would have done.
Yeah, and that was kind of, I think, the whole point. It was supposed to be a fun and inspiring, incredibly expensive thing that was supposed to make us all go, ooh, ah, look at it.
We can still do space travel. Right, cool. That's an important thing we should be doing.
It was supposed to introduce a sense of awe and make us think maybe Star Trek future is possible. But the internet was like, fuck are you doing that shit for?
I think a lot of people were very down for it, but there was certainly a response of like, hey man, there's fucking stuff going on in the White House, and it's like, okay, fine, but we can still send fucking mannequins into space and laugh at it because it's awesome.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
We don't always have to focus on the bad shit. Or not even that, like, we still have to push all of this other stuff because it has to be in spite of all this other crap going on, because maybe it'll help things get better. Maybe if we remembered that, we wouldn't be so quick to just jump down everything jump down the throats of everything that is, like, different and, you know, maybe not the norm. So, I'm just it's the first thing that's happened in a while that's made me go, oh yeah, not only can we still do space travel, but we can do, like, different stuff with it, and people are still pushing the boundaries of trying to make it easier and pushing the limits of how far we can take it. So, that's what this really made me excited about, but apparently one of the rockets did fail, so that's unfortunate. The payload still got where it's supposed to be, but it wasn't a complete success.
Well, sure.
I read the NASA article about it, and I remember that part, and I'm like, oh, they're outlining every fuck up because they're like, fuck this dude.
Yeah, they're seriously throwing shade. And if I was Elon Musk, I'd be like, hey NASA, you're being a real challenger over there, fucking pointing out all my failures.
That's really that's cold. See, I'm gonna put that down to Elon Musk because I'm sure he actually said that. But
let me just point out all the times that you fucked up, NASA.
Yeah, in very, like, backhanded compliment ways.
Hey PETA, how many dead monkeys are in space because of these guys over here?
Yeah.
I used a mannequin.
Oh, did you see? You bring that up, and they're gonna go like, "Oh fuck." Gonna be a Time article about that. I just sent you an article. The last thing I want to say about the Elon Musk thing is that I just want to see more creative uses of space travel in the future, and by that I mean any space travel that'll maybe get me into a position where I can retire on Mars. Oh, that's just my dream, Dylan. Like, I just want to deal with all the bullshit.
You don't want to be an early adopter of the off-world colony, though.
Oh,
you want to give
Dylan, if I'm going to die anyway, if I'm 75 and I'm still alive and that's a possibility, oh, definitely, I'm going.
But the future's 75 probably won't be the same as today's 75. You realize that as medical technology hopefully continues to advance.
Well, yeah, I'll probably be younger, which will be better. I can more actively do stuff at 75 on Mars.
Being in your 70s is going to be the new being in your 50s. But honestly, with any new technology, let alone the vacuum of space being colonized, you always want to give them some time to work out the bugs.
I understand your point. But you know the sentiment I'm trying to express, and I think that you're the type of person who agrees with that kind of thing. Like, let's get the fuck out of here.
You've seen and read The Martian. Shit can go bad.
Of course, but it was very peaceful and quiet.
You don't want to be the guy sitting in a spacesuit eating your own shit potatoes. You don't want that. You don't want to be that guy.
He had a good time sometimes. He was getting high on Vicodin. He was having fun.
Oh, great! He's not going to have any issues back on Earth.
He's the house of astronauts.
Can you imagine that? And he winds up being on My Strange Addiction. Like, I really just love eating potatoes grown from my own shit. You know,
with Vicodin in them.
with Vicodin, I make a baked potato.
Why won't they send me up on another space mission? Space mission.
Some people use bacon bits on their baked potato, but I prefer to sprinkle a little Vicodin.
After my fecal matter.
I don't know why
fecal
Matt
matter
Damon
is more important.
I don't know why Matt Damon has that accent now. All of a sudden, seriously, the California thing. Although he would probably sound like that in real life.
What if we rewrite The Martian, but it's like a Biodome style stoner comedy set on Mars? It's like Bill and Ted, they get trapped on Mars. Oh, dude!
Imagine
totally
you could reunite.
Uncool, man.
Imagine you could reunite 70-year-old Cheech and Chong and put him in space.
Oh, see, that would be better. Yeah, fuck Bill and Ted. Yeah, Cheech and Chong stuck on Mars with nothing but a bunch of pot to eat and smoke.
Yeah. Harold and Kumar stuck on Mars.
Fuck Cheech and Chong. I want to be in this movie.
I see Harold and Kumar stuck on Mars. Somehow they still managed to
murder them. Like, that's halfway through the movie. Like, so it's Harold and Kumar, Cheech and Chong stuck on Mars, and halfway through the movie, I just murder them all and steal all their pot.
Somehow Neil Patrick Harris still makes a creepy cameo, even though they're stuck on Mars.
We get into a knife fight.
Yeah.
We should film this.
And then who's smoking weed with President Bush, huh?
I'd probably kill him for his pot, too. I'm not sharing. Fuck it.
So what's this about squids?
So squids. There is a giant squid graveyard off the coast of the Californian coast. So there's two coasts. So yeah. So there appear to be some kind of bizarre starfish creatures on this giant squid. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a marine biologist. Maybe they're perfectly normal starfish creatures, but they certainly look weird to me.
That's all I'm asking. You don't have to get fucking objectively technical. This is another one from Tom Hale, Dylan.
Tom Hale, are we familiar with his work?
We're familiar with his work. He's usually pretty good. He's not one of your, like, suddenly it becomes like some kind of weird social agenda. Like, the giant squids are going to save us all from the global warming.
I like that. I like that you keep up with who's writing these articles, because I don't give a fuck. Like, you're like, this is one by Tom Hale. And I'm
usually credit everybody, because otherwise they get mad. I'm not saying that they listen, but you never know. I like to cover my ass.
Are you keeping track of which ones are the shitty ones too?
Oh yeah, I always tell you. I'm always like, oh, this guy.
So when they come up, you can be like, hey, here comes one from fucking Derpy McDerpface.
Because sometimes those can also be fun, just to make fun of them.
Do you have any bad ones this time?
I don't know. I didn't read them yet.
Oh.
We're going to find out together.
How well prepared.
It's the same as we always do. You're so good at stressing me out. That's why you're the best co-host.
We haven't done a science episode. We haven't done a science episode in a while either. I'm relearning the process.
Relearning how unprepared we are. Off the coast of California, the seabed is scattered with dead squids that perish after an exhausting orgy of breeding and egg laying. Yeah, that's how we're opening.
They die from having an orgy?
Mm-hmm. It's brutal orgy.
It's pretty metal.
Listen, Dylan, if you're a couple of giant squid and your tentacles get wrapped up and you don't know what hole's going in where, maybe somebody's gonna fucking die.
There's no way these are giant squid, though. These are just regular squid. Right? Because if these are giant...
those are probably giant squid.
Well, if these are giant squid, then how fucking big are those starfish?
Oh, wait, hang on. Is this the full article? I feel like we're missing something. Maybe that's a little one. But the picture at the top, that's a giant squid for sure.
But the picture at the top also has big starfish all on it.
Yes, but the size of the head on the squid is more considerable. And it's a bunch of starfish, as opposed to the second one, which is a little tiny one. And the one on the bottom, the squid is pretty small.
That's a nice crab, though.
Even then, that's a pretty small giant squid. They're both small giant squid, but they're both probably still giant squid. The one in the middle, I'm not sure. Let's read and see if they explain.
I mean, unless that's the fucking crab from that Roger Corman movie with the talking giant crab. Then...
Oh my god, that movie was so awesome. The site was first seen in 2012 by researchers at Monterey Bay Aquarium. They've recently written a paper about the discovery. It was via a series of remotely operated submarine dives. They found over 60,000... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was 60 squid. Not 60,000.
Over 60,000.
Hang on. It was 60 dead squids, but it was 1,000 meters down, almost 3,300 feet. So it's deep.
Pretty deep, yeah.
So, along with the carcasses, there were empty squid egg sheets, which I think means that they weren't fertilized by the males.
Is that what that net-looking thing is that one squid is dragging behind?
I don't know. I think that's a deep-sea squid with an empty sheet that is... Okay. So that's an example of a living squid doing that. But that's not... They didn't see, like, a living one doing it. They just found, like... They found that loose on the ground. They're using that as an example. That's what's misleading. That's not a giant squid, but that is a squid that does the same thing. Understand?
Right. I mean, I imagine that all the squid do the squid things, you know.
They don't all do the same things, but yeah, they do. They have similar... Because giant squid don't swim the same way that these do.
But they're all making egg sheets and fucking playing the clarinet, so...
Right, naturally. See, but doesn't Squidward have 8 legs? I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, isn't he? He looks more like an octopus.
He looks more like an octopus, yeah.
I'm calling bullshit on that whole cartoon, all right?
But he also acts more like an octopus, you would think. Only because octopus are known to be very intelligent, like as intelligent as dogs and maybe even like, you know, primates. So he in his like kind of snooty intellectual demeanor befits an octopus more than a squid, because squid are more in line with your dumb like fucking they're cannibalistic and very
I like how out of all the nonsensical bullshit things on SpongeBob SquarePants, this is the one that really is getting my blood boiling here. This Squidward is not a fucking squid. They lied to us. Did you see the one recently where it was like, how fucking small are Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy?
Yeah, I shared that meme. Isn't that hilarious? Where they're as tiny as a squirrel.
They're hanging out with squirrels and sponges.
That's the thing about that show. I was actually just watching a bunch of it with my brother. It's funny we ended up bringing it up. But it's just they didn't give a fuck. They just would do anything, and that's what's great about it. They just throw anything at the fucking screen. They're like, "What do you think?" So, and most of the time it hits, and sometimes you're just like, well, you tried. That's what a lot of the recent stuff is, like when they show SpongeBob as a fetus. So I'm like, well, you tried that. Yeah.
I feel like that's why SpongeBob never lit my world on fire the way it seems to have the entire rest of my generation, because I need my things to make sense.
Do all your cartoons make sense? Don't you like Ren and Stimpy? That doesn't make sense.
To be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of Ren and Stimpy in my life, so I couldn't really tell you. But
so you just don't like zany cartoons in general?
They can be zany. I just need the premise to make sense. Like Dexter's Lab and Courage the Cowardly Dog and Ed, Edd and Eddy. These are all very zany things, but they have a premise.
Well, that's more of a real world context. Like
and
even Courage the Cowardly Dog.
There are rules to their universe, and they operate. You know, it was clearly thought out, as opposed to like, here's some shit we put on the screen.
Yeah.
All Teen Titans Go style.
Yeah, it's not really like that, but
it's not as bad as that. But I think it's the first step in the evolution of cartoons into that more, what the fuck am I watching direction.
Right. But it was definitely a lot smarter earlier on with a lot more of a clear intention. Why are we talking about SpongeBob? Oh, because we were talking about squids. So I think the question that we were getting at here is, why are all these giant squid really dead? Like, what about the orgy in this location led to them dying? And why do they all die when they fuck? Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of fucking? That's my question here. So,
I mean, I guess not, depending on how many eggs they lay. I mean, they're still increasing
the population. But the egg sheets aren't fertilized.
Oh. Well, yeah, then that's some bullshit.
Within a day, all of this mess is usually hoovered. Yeah, what's the word? Hoovered up by scavengers, which include a variety of ratfish, acorn worms, brittle stars, sea cucumbers, crustaceans, and sea stars. Whale carcasses in the bottom might last in some form for decades. Wow, that's crazy. But we don't know anything about mid-sized carrions such as squid carcasses. That was by head biologist Hank Jan Hoving. What a name. You have to get very lucky to see one. They likely get consumed within 24 hours. So their point is that something like a squid doesn't last as long as a whale on the bottom of the ocean.
Right. Well, that doesn't even surprise me, because, I mean, I've dissected a squid before, and there's just like a little pin in the middle.
They're not nearly as complex.
They don't have skeletons. They just...
layers of blubber and fat and muscle.
Exactly.
Fortunately, the egg sheets remain undisturbed, ensuring that the eggs hatch... Oh, they do! I thought they were unfertilized. I thought that was the point. of the earlier part. I guess not. So they do reproduce despite the fact that they kill each other. So I guess that's good. Other studies have suggested that the squids actually inject ink into their egg sheets, making them hard to see and less tasty for scavengers and bacterial decomposers. That's interesting. This all-you-can-eat buffet also helps to regulate the mid-water zone of the ocean. Boring technical bullshit. It's called a biological pump, though. That's fun. The squid, you can tell that to your friends. You learned about the biological pump today.
Could you imagine knowing that, like, having a biological drive to reproduce?
A biological
but knowing,
pump?
Yeah, we all have those. No, can you imagine having a biological drive to reproduce, but knowing that your species is designed in such a way that you will die?
In the midst of the orgy that you'll just, like, eat each other until you're all dead?
You're just gonna die. I mean, like, hashtag, or not hashtag, fucking, this should, fucking take this picture of the fucking crab eating the squid carcass, turned into a meme, and it's like, when the pussy's so good, you died afterwards.
Yeah, but, like, I feel like metaphorically speaking, philosophically speaking, we do that anyway. We fuck in spite of knowledge we're gonna die. Like, what is the practical purpose of having kids? Right?
I mean, now nothing. We should probably all stop for a few decades.
Exactly. But these squid, same deal. They think that that's their only purpose in life. So, I guess in a sense, they're like dying doing what they believe their entire, life was building up to.
At least they don't have to raise the fuckers, Never gonna see one of these.
But if we did that, if we like banged and then died as soon as we did it, and then the kids just raised themselves.
Oh, it would never work for humans because.
No, well, I know why, because the head is too big and blah blah blah, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
I understand anatomy, but even if I'm saying that, nowadays we just keep doing it because that's what we just think we have. In a way, it is kind of the same thing. A lot of us do just keep doing it because we think that's what we're supposed to do, and then we just die. Like that's all that life is. So
yeah.
that was the joke I was trying to make. It ended up becoming a serious thing. So
first of all, these days
you're all gonna fucking die. All right, I'm sorry.
It would also be terrible because everybody would know if you were a virgin, if you were older than 15 and also still alive. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm. Well, then everybody would be a virgin because otherwise you'd be dead.
Or a baby.
Well, the babies would also be virgins, obviously.
Well, yeah.
So why are they like a separate thing? I don't understand. Are they in like this weird grace period?
I don't know. I feel like I've lost the plot of this conversation.
I feel like you lost the plot of this conversation. I know exactly where we're at. Squid being eaten by crabs.
You'll never see one of these squids getting dragged on the Maury show. That's all I'm saying.
It's
a better life.
It's a better life.
Because they're fucking dead. If you drag a squid on the Maury show saying
but you could still drag the dead squid onto the Maury show. That would be embarrassing.
But then Squid Maury would look at you and be like, "He's not the dead. He's clearly alive."
So wait. It's not Maury. It's the squid equivalent of Maury. So it's
also
like Squarry. Also,
you can't bring anybody on the Maury show to be like, "He's the dad," because you would also die in the orgy. How does?
But Squid Maury is a virgin. He would have to be, otherwise he'd be dead.
Either that, or he's some sort of immortal.
Did all squid die after they fuck? That can't happen.
I don't know. Maybe this is just a colossal squid thing. I don't know.
No, these are not colossal squid. These are giant squid. Colossal squid are bigger.
Oh, fuck.
They look different.
My mistake. Fucking Titanic squid, whatever.
I'll fucking slap you with a fucking colossal squid. How about that?
I don't want to see
you read into that as much as you want.
I don't want to see your colossal squid. Not again. No,
Like I said, you read into that as much as you want. But the point is, and this is a direct quote from Mr. Hoving from earlier, this could have a big impact on the biological carbon pump.
Good, I guess. Is it a good impact or a bad impact? Also, Were they supposed to die, or is this some sort of like big mystery as to
Or
why
is
they
this like a
died?
suicide? We don't
Like,
know. We don't
what if
really
they
know
don't
a lot
normal?
about giant squid, so we know that they died when they fucked. That's what we know.
Yeah, and Tom Hill hasn't exactly helped us out, any. He hasn't really provided much context into how this
I mean, I
normally
guess
goes
that's
down.
kind of good. He just kind of told us the facts. He didn't deliver any conjecture.
I don't want conjecture, but he could have like done a Wikipedia search or something.
And been like, sometimes when they fuck, they just kill each other because they're fucking crazy. Sometimes the male asks if he can come on the lady's face, and she gets mad. See, like I said, Dylan, there's a lot of metaphorical and philosophical similarities between squid fucking and human fucking.
But she would prefer that he just ink on her tits.
Yeah, that's easier to clean. Listen, just have a towel present. That's just my experience. So okay. Dylan, did I send you the next one? I did not. Let me do that.
You didn't.
Because it's an article outside your Facebook Messenger.
What?
That'll make sense when I send
Also,
you.
you don't have to send them to me through Facebook anymore because I've got the fucking new laptop and fucking you can just send it through
It's
Skype.
easier though, because I'm on Facebook looking at them.
Oh, okay.
So just leave Facebook open.
I wasn't sure if that was easier or harder for you.
It is just exactly the same, but I'm just going to stick with it anyway. For the first time, presence of planet-sized objects have been confirmed beyond the Milky Way. Dun dun. Astonishingly, you're so excited about everything tonight. You're very enthusiastic. Did something positive happen? Are you just so excited about the Tesla Roadster that?
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad that your zest for space travel has really translated to your podcasting. So anyway, on to more space travel. Astonishingly, see, sometimes these articles don't make any fucking sense in the way they're worded. Astonishingly, the suspects are okay. Oh, because the fucking comma there. So astonishingly, the suspects are billions of light years away, immensely abundant, and thought to be floating through space without stars. So it's just all like black space with a bunch of circles. Do you see the fucking picture up in the top?
Yeah, it looks like fucking a close-up on the astronaut's eye from 2001 when he's going through the white tunnel.
It also looks like the Power Rangers Dino Thunder logo.
Kinda.
If you played Connect the Dots with it.
Kinda, yeah.
So I don't know which one of those is the right way to interpret it, but
It looks like somebody just played polymerization. Now their cards are being fused.
Yeah, but the point is that there's no like stars to make it bright, right? So
I guess, yeah.
it looks weird. It looks very weird. The arrangement is very odd. So I guess the idea is that those three dark red objects are planets. That one in the middle, I guess that's another one, but the change in, I guess this is some kind of like, thermal camera is bizarre, like the change in heat. And then the little tiny one is like their Pluto, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even know if this picture is relevant. I mean, because the guy who wrote this article could have grabbed that from anywhere. So we probably shouldn't spend too much time analyzing it.
No, this is it. It is of what they're talking about. I just looked into it. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
They're comparing it to the size of stuff in our systems. Where were we?
Wait, the galaxy at the center of this image has billions of planets with masses less than Jupiter in its halo. Okay, so that's a galaxy in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Ah, okay. So obviously those bright spots are not planets. So what are they then? Because they say that it's billions of planets. Interesting.
Maybe those are also galaxies?
But they're all dead, presumably, or not. I mean, dead by our standards because they don't have stars to give them light.
Interesting.
It would be fun to live there. In the 26 years since we first located planets outside our solar system, We found some using the Doppler wobble method around nearby stars, including the nearest. By studying dips in stars' brightness as planets pass across its face, we have expanded the range. That's an interesting way to go about it. I never really thought about that. I've never really looked into how they do that, but
yeah.
But measuring the kind of shadows they cast crossing stars is an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, I've heard of them discovering planets that way before. Like they're looking through a telescope and they're like, "Hey, that star just blinked." And it's because something passed in front of it. And then they're like, "We found a new object. Let's all go home and bang our wives."
Let's name it after our fucking wives. Yeah, after our wives' pussies. It's called the Doppler wobble.
Which sounds like a fucking...
Every term we mentioned tonight sounds like some kind of sex term or some kind of weird position.
Yeah. Like, doesn't it sound like something you would tell your kids not to do? Like listen. Like
I would tell my kids not to do anything. I just tell them to stay in the house and never leave.
Like, listen, now I want them gone. I just don't want them doing the Doppler wobble because that sounds awful.
Not before they're 18, because then it's my responsibility. So after they're 18, they should get out. But I don't want them to die while I'm still relevant.
Exactly. Go out there and suck all the dick and eat all the ass you want, but no Doppler wobbling. That's
all I ask as a parent. To go beyond the galaxy, however, Professor Zinyu Dahl and Dr. Eduardo Guerres of the University of Oklahoma used microlensing based on gravity's effect on light. A massive object in the right position focuses the light from something further away, acting like a lens. So, we use the gravitational lens formed by giant galaxies to study objects that would otherwise be beyond the reach of our telescopes. Microlenses, as their name suggests, are smaller and occur when a star and planet pass in front to a more distant source. The lens created by the star itself creates a bump in the light that is large enough for us to notice, drawing attention to the much smaller blips produced by the planets before or after. So it's a slightly more complicated method of doing the same thing.
Yeah, essentially, when something's too far away, you can't see it with the telescope, but you can find it by studying the way it interacts with other things that you can see.
But this method just requires more objects and a stronger lens. Well, no, it's not even the lens. It's the light of a star creates a lens by which you can see objects moving around it. Very technical. We're getting very technical tonight.
Yes.
Microlensing has allowed us to find a planet with the mass of Uranus. So, Dylan, that's getting personal for you.
God damn!
25,000 light years away, a quarter way across the galaxy. In astrophysical journal letters, Dye and Guerres announced they have left that achievement in the shade by finding a population of planets in a galaxy 3.8 billion light years away. That is probably not a distance I can travel in a weekend.
No, can you imagine that fucking G-Fest road trip?
G-Fest road trip. This is G-Fest in the galaxy adjacent, and we're just like, oh, Andreas, you better fly here so we can get there.
Fun fact.
We're going to drive.
Fun fact, for those of you who have never taken a G-Fest road trip from New York to Chicago, 3.8 billion light years is about how long Pennsylvania feels.
Yeah. Haha, that was a very funny dig at the people of Pennsylvania. Fuck them, right?
No, not the people. They're fucking state.
Yeah, but they tolerate it. Don't you think that makes them, like, complicit?
I guess.
Yeah!
It's too fucking big. I don't like driving it.
I don't like it. The galaxy lies almost halfway between us and the quasar RXJ numbers. The galaxy's gravity creates a lens whose effects vary as the objects within it move. Examination of the spectrum of light from the quasar makes clear the lens is made up of millions of individual objects all shifting relative to each other rather than a single gravitational well. When Dye and Guerres created a model of how the lens should behave if the galaxy was purely made up of stars and brown dwarfs. What's a brown dwarf? Can you look that up on Google?
I believe it's a type of star, isn't it?
Why is it different from other stars?
Because it's brown, and that ain't right.
It's really...
No, wait.
But it's actually brown?
Hold on.
The outcome didn't resemble what they saw. At this distance, planets near stars effectively add their mass to that of the star. See, because the issue is that the different methods they're describing of seeing planets wouldn't work for these planets because there's no stars.
Okay, so a brown dwarf is smaller than a star, but bigger than a planet, I guess?
But it's still like a big ball of gas with burning radioactive light.
It says brown dwarves are substellar objects that occupy the mass range between the heaviest gas giant planets and the lightest stars. So yeah, it's in between.
Interesting.
I guess that makes sense, because if you get enough gas, then it starts burning and you get yourself a star. So it's like on the verge of that, I guess. I don't know.
The outcome didn't resemble what they saw. So the point is, though, that that didn't account for what they were looking at. At this,
I like to imagine a real scientist, somebody of like Neil deGrasse Tyson's caliber, stumbling upon this podcast someday and listening to one of these episodes and just fuming.
I would love to have him on. He should come on and be like, "You guys are idiots. I'll just talk for an hour and you'll just drool." And I'll be like, "Please do
our job. Please do our job for us."
Occasionally, we'll make a sarcastic comment.
Just tell me when to insert a dick joke, and we'll.
Oh, that would be great. Neil deGrasse Tyson, if you're listening, hit us up. I feel like I should add him on Twitter when I post this.
I wouldn't.
I'm not going to. He wouldn't even see it.
You'll only embarrass yourself. I
haven't done that before.
I would legitimately love to have a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson, though, at some point.
But it wouldn't be, like I said, it wouldn't be a conversation to be me listening to him and nodding. So the idea is there was conjecture based on the fact that a bunch of disconnected stars with no planets didn't make sense of what they were seeing. So it was in fact a bunch of disconnected planets with no stars. So interesting. There is not the slightest chance of observing these planets directly, Guerra said in a statement. However, we are able to study them, unveil their presence, and even have an idea of their masses. This is very cool science, quote.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Bite me.
Yeah. That's what Guerra has said. That wasn't the writer.
Thank God.
That was by Stephen Lutz. That one was actually pretty good. So far, so good. Next up.
It's been totally wicked.
Yeah, it's been fine.
Very cool science.
It's been thoroughly acceptable. Next up, experimental cancer vaccines.
Oh, good. Is this the one with the nanobots?
I hope so. I just read Michael Crichton's Prey. So that'll go well for me.
I read something about like little nanobots. They were able to reduce the size of tumors. We'll see if that's what this is.
Experimental cancer vaccine wipes out tumors in mouse trial.
I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor. I'm a tumor.
This one's by Robin Andrews. I think we've read him before too. I don't know what his game is.
Was he any good before?
I don't know. I don't remember. That's dangerous. All right, let's find out. This is a more controversial topic now.
When it's been so long that you can't remember if the pussy was good or not.
Love it. Cancer is a complex, multi-headed beast, an umbrella of over 200 different afflictions. Thankfully, from using artificial viruses on the one hand to wielding CRISPR on the other, science is going.
CRISPR.
Yeah, that's the genetic editing shit, right?
Yeah, there's been so much great shit done recently with this. It's just exploded.
All these incredibly advanced computers and ways of breaking down DNA are just they spin my head.
We're getting so close to having replicants. I can't wait to question my humanity.
Haven't you started already? To defeat this ancient biological malevolent malfunction. I don't like the alliteration.
Malevolent malfunction?
Yeah.
It's accurate. It's an accurate alliteration.
It is. See, I figured you would have jumped on that, but all right. You're fucking down with alliteration all of a sudden.
I would even say that it's an amazingly accurate alliteration.
Jesus, you're filled with so much positivity tonight. I've never seen this side of you. I feel like I'm the one who's all down and sullen, and you're the one who's all like, "Oh, this things are great." And I'm just like, "Yeah, fine."
You say that after I've been completely disinterested over the last couple articles, and now all of a sudden I'm.
You've been acting the opposite. So I guess good job.
Now all of a sudden I respond to a bit of amazingly accurate alliteration, and you.
It definitely had an impact. A new study, courtesy of a team led by Stanford Medicine, places its bets on immunotherapy, a rapidly growing field that, unlike conventional chemotherapy, triggers the patient's own immune system to deal with the cancer itself. Generally speaking, immunotherapy is more precise, whereas chemotherapy targets cells somewhat indiscriminately. For this work, yes, and I guess that's why it's, not as good, and that's why people get really sick when they do it.
Oh yeah, chemotherapy is basically just poisoning yourself and hoping it kills the cancer before it kills you.
Right, man. And the same thing with like radiation. That's the danger of that. No.
Yeah, essentially, because the cancer is just pieces of you that have gone rogue.
Right.
So you kind of have to kill yourself a little bit. It's weird.
I would have to agree that it is definitely a little weird. For this work, the team used 2 immune-stimulating agents injected into small quantities directly into the tumors of mice. They found that it is not, of course, mice are being given cancer. Those are the animals of choice. They found that it not only completely destroyed these tumors, but it also eliminated all elements of the cancer in the mice, even in parts of the body that the cancer had metastasized, spread to long ago. So that's pretty fucking incredible. But like I said before, these are fucking mice. Let's not give them too much credit. Writing in the journal Science Translational Medicine, the authors note that it has recently become apparent that the immune system can cure cancer. Clearly, great advances are being made. They conclude that, at least in mice, their new technique can cure multiple types of cancer and prevent spontaneous genetically driven cancers. So what exactly are these 2 agents of which they speak, and what do they do? As with plenty of immunotherapy investigations, the focus was on stimulating the body's T cells. These are lymphocytes, a type of white blood cell that plays a huge role in dealing with infections. They come in 2 flavors. Strawberry and mint. Helpers and killers. Even better. With the former assisting in the development of antibodies, the handcuffs, kinky, that pin pathogens down, and the latter actually annihilating damaged or infected cells. These T cells...
I don't know if I agree with sexually harassing pathogens, but that's...
Listen, you pull out some handcuffs, you better be down for a wild time. You better have a safe word ready. T cells are not. These T cells are excellent at spotting and dealing with abnormal cells, but they have some difficulty when it comes to cancerous cells. As they're corrupted versions of our own cells, this means that they're somewhat camouflaged. Even when the T cells do recognize this growing threat, they are often unable to destroy it as it proliferates throughout the body. Interesting and terrifying and horrible. This new technique tries to tackle both the identification and the eradication problem in one fell swoop. One agent, a short component of DNA, boosts the expression of a receptor on the surface of the T cells. The second agent is an antibody that attaches itself to this surface receptor, which activates the T cells and triggers them to attack the tumor.
Oh, see, this actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, because the whole problem is that your immune system is designed to attack things that aren't you,
right?
And the cancer is you, so
right.
it just sort of
or it can't. Even if it does, it can't do it effectively because then the cancer will still proliferate throughout the rest of the body.
Right. It's almost like your cancer is wearing one of those fucking the perception filters from Doctor Who.
Right. So all of this is doing is just telling your T cells, "Hey, fuckhead, that's bad. Get rid of it.
Get rid of that thing over there.
Take out that trash. Who brought that trash in here?" So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, and I hope that we can do it in more than just mice. Let's see how it's going to go. So as these agents are directly emplaced within the tumor, only T cells inside it are activated in this way. That way they're trained to recognize what the threat is immediately, and after destroying the tumor, they swim through the body and obliterate its remnants elsewhere. So it's not a one-time deal, which is probably a big distinction. Like, if it worked against one cell and then it just petered out, it probably wouldn't be effective throughout the rest of the body. But if they spread and they tell the other T cells and the other white blood cells, hey, that stuff's no good, get rid of it, then that's a lot more surefire. Clearly, the trial has been remarkably successful. In 90 mice infected with lymphoma, a cancer of the immune system, 87 of them were completely cured. The cancer did return in 3 of the cured mice, but a second round of treatment put that insurrection to an end. Additional work on treating other cancers in mice included breast cancer and colon cancer. Ooh, colon cancer would be rough.
You know what they say the worst is? I mean, I'm not acquainted with all types of cancer, but I've heard...
I'm sure they're all pretty shitty, but which one have you heard is the worst?
I've heard that bone cancer is especially painful.
I can imagine that, yeah. You know, and I'm sure this is kind of vain, but, you know, testicular cancer is probably not great either.
It's probably not great, but we had an SRO officer, which I've told you about those before, right? I know you don't have them up there, but we had one in when I was in elementary school that all the kids really liked, and then he died of bone cancer. It was very sad.
Jesus. Yeah, I can imagine why that would be really painful, but you know, those are the people who have to get like bone marrow transplants and shit.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
I know a guy who was like doing that as a donation, and he still came into work the next day, which was pretty cool.
I think it also compromises your immune system because your bones are where your white blood cells are made.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you got to eat a lot of food that promotes the growth of that, like beef jerky. You know, messing with Sasquatch.
Right. But what if, like me, you're on the Taco Bell diet? What do you...
That will probably also help. Unless they have another E. coli outbreak, then probably not.
Oh, great.
Isn't it amazing that Taco Bell, like, never caved to that? Like, some restaurants, they got killed by stuff like that. Like Jack in the Box back in the day. The fact that their food went bad killed their whole franchise. They've only had somewhat of a resurgence recently.
Yeah, I guess there's something about a restaurant that's famous for giving people diarrhea.
Taco Bell's unique. At least it was then. Now it's not. Like, if Taco Bell had a bad falling out now, I guess it would depend. But now there's Chipotle and Moe's, and there's other options.
Listen, I thought Chick-fil-A was going to go under when they came out against the whole gay marriage thing, but they're still ticking. So nothing
that doesn't kill especially back then. That doesn't kill a company. It has to be like the food has to go bad.
I'm talking about more recently when it was like the vote was coming up, and I was like, oh shit, a bunch of people are going to boycott Chick-fil-A now, and I'm not going to be able to get my chicken nuggets.
Like when Trump was being elected?
No, the vote for gay marriage, which was year before.
Oh, well. Were you still able to get your chicken?
Yeah, they're still in business. It's great. We have 2 of them now, actually. They're growing.
Well, that's all that matters.
And everybody I know is like, yeah, it sucks that they don't like gay people, but chicken good, though.
Hey, if they can produce chicken that the gay people like, nobody can really complain, right?
Right.
The results of this study are very exciting, although there are some caveats. A doctoral research student focusing on the cancer biology at the University of Sussex said, but they weren't involved in the study. Studies that work well in mice do not guarantee success in human patients, though the fact that each of the 2 individual treatments used in this study are currently in clinical trials and that they are now recruiting the first human trials is encouraging. So it's going through, but it's not guaranteed to have the same success rate. Additionally, not all tumors will be accessible for injection.
I would recommend finding a nice pig who has cancer in the meantime. That'll be a nice little bridge. Pigs are much... Or
give a pig cancer, expose it to a nuclear weapon. And...
Right. And then
the Godzilla equivalent of pigs.
And then we can give it AIDS and start working on that cure. No,
there are already nuclear pigs in Japan. We talked about that on a science episode many moons ago.
That's true. Anyway, pigs are much closer to human than a mouse is. That's why pig dissection is all the rage these days, and you never hear of kids having to dissect frogs anymore. I was kind of pissed that I never got to dissect a frog. That was always like...
Me neither.
because that's like the stereotype, and that's what you like grow up thinking. Like one day I'm gonna have to dissect a frog.
Or in Starship Troopers, you dissect a bug.
Right, and then you get there, and they're like, here's a pig, here's a squid, or you get into like the college level, and it's like, here's a worm and a fucking horseshoe crab. It's like, give me a goddamn frog. Anyway, I'm loving this right now. There's an argument in the comments because somebody pointed out the fact that this isn't really a vaccine, but the title of the article says vaccine.
Okay. Yeah. IFL. Getting caught on technicalities again.
Yeah. First of all, a vaccine is supposed to prevent you from getting a thing. It's not a...
It doesn't kill the thing that you already have.
It was the easiest thing in the world. All you had to do was say treatment, but you wanted to be all fancy and say vaccine. Maybe start a fight with the anti-vax.
More revolutionary.
Maybe start a fight with the anti-vax people. I don't know your agenda. I'm just saying this is...
But you definitely have one, though, is what you're saying.
Yeah, this Robin Andrews guy, I don't trust him. Look at his profile picture. Looking off wistfully. What's he so wistful about?
Who's wistful these days? What's to be wistful about?
Right,
Nothing.
right. Oh, he's from London. Even shadier.
Even more wistful.
Nobody's wistful in London. It's just grey and depressing.
So wistfulness is suspicious.
I don't know if there are any Londoners listening to this right now, but it's kind of
Stop being so fucking wistful.
It's kind of true. Like, you're mad, but
there's absolutely no reason for you to be wistful, and if you are, you should feel bad.
You are allowed to be wistful. You are allowed to be wistful once a week when Doctor Who comes on, and that's about it.
I thought it was on Taco Tuesday.
Oh, that too. Okay.
All right. Dylan, we're actually going to move on to a non-cancer related article now.
Good.
I'm glad you're excited. This one is about spiders! Yay! My favorite thing. So 100-million-year-old chimera arachnids in amber shine a light.
Oh yeah, this is the one that I shared with you, right? Yeah, this is. I mean, look, that's a face
monstrosity. That's
a fucking face hugger. Look at it.
It does look like a face hugger. It's also a little bit like Starship Troopers, like we said before. It's a spider with a big poisonous fucking stinger on the end of it.
It's got like the tail. It's got the long finger. Like the only thing it's missing are the two air sacs on the side, and it's like perfect face hugger.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't have that.
It looks like it looks like the fucking embryos that Michael Fassbender put in the egg thing at the end of Covenant. Yeah. This is also a Robin Andrews article, so we'll see if he gets very wistful while discussing these.
He still looks very wistful. Yeah, if he's wistful about these things, he has problems. He's sitting in fucking gray, horrible London looking at pictures of these things going, ooh, so wistful. Spiders are...
Guy in the comment says, what's the size of the specimen? Well, I'll tell you.
Ladies are terrified to say. Spiders are an evolutionary extravagance, more alliteration. No matter whether you consider them to be misunderstood mischief makers or malevolent monsters, I know which one I prefer. Their history extends back tens of millions of years, and today they can be found all over the world, occupying the shadows and nooks in the corners of our eyes. Paleontologists are often fascinated by these eight-legged marvels. In some ways, it resembles a modern specimen. It contains, for example, multi-segmented spinners, which are used to spin silk and create spectacular web patterns. Okay, we missed this. It's 100 million years old, this thing. I believe. Yes. And, but they're super close to, so, dinosaur times we're still talking about. But they're super close to modern-day specimens. Like, that's the crazy thing. That just shows the evolutionary resilience of them in the same way as, like, crocodiles and sharks. So they were able to create spectacular web patterns. At the same time, it's a little alien. See? Get it? They made a joke in the same way that you made a direct reference. Hang on, where is it? It's donned with tail-like ornaments named telsons that are far more common in today's scorpions. So, and they're linked. They're both arachnids, and
yeah. Well, there are also like mites that have tails, so it's not unheard of. Mites also are in the arachnid family. Right. The ones that live on our eyelids have tails.
Delightful. It's fitting then that the species has been named Chimerochin yinji, which genus name roughly translates to chimera spider. Very fun. Both papers feature researchers from across the world, but both are led by the Chinese... Hang on, I can't see this. Academy of Sciences. The first paper concludes that... this was found in China? Did they mention that before? I don't believe that they did. I didn't see that. Otherwise, I would have mentioned it and been like, "Hey, China, China."
I feel like chimera spider should be the name of a Jaeger
or a metal band,
or a metal band, or both.
Or a type of gun, or a bad guy,
or my penis.
If that's what gets you there, man. The first paper concludes that this species represents one of the first true spiders. That's interesting. Part of the extant order of Arani. The second study considers the species of encapsulated Bischii to be part of an order of extinct spider relatives, the Uraranidae. The Uranida? I can't say that. Regardless of which conclusion is ultimately proven to be correct by further research, both have powerful implications for how we understand spider evolution, in that they're terrifying. If it's the former interpretation that's borne out by additional analysis, then we know what it represents. The earliest branch of the true order of spiders, if it's the latter, then as the authors of the paper explain, the new fossil extends the records of Uraranidae 170 million years towards the present, thus showing that Uraranids and spiders coexisted for a large fraction of their evolutionary history. So there's some debate as to how close this is to modern spiders, it seems to be. Like whether or not this is like a throwback that shows that they survived a lot more recently into the fossil record than we formerly thought, or if this is just like a link to that family that is still technically a spider.
Right, well they're trying to decide if it's a true spider or if it belongs in that now extinct category of arachnid.
See, as terrified as I am by this shit, it is fascinating. And I love learning about these, ancient forms of life that stretch all the way back. It would be nice to see like a fucking in like a Jurassic Park movie, just like a fucking T-Rex fight a big spider. Can't we see that?
Would be interesting.
Defining a new species using fossilized or preserved remnants of a long-dead critter is far from easy. Apart from the fact that the concept of a species itself is somewhat nebulous, paleontologists have to generally rely on common and unique physical features to compare and contrast with other animals. In this case, the chimeric spider's features have caused a little trouble. There's no doubt that it's a new species, one that roamed what is now Myanmar at the same time as tank-sized dinosaurs wandered across what is now Maryland. But the teams can't quite agree as to where it should fit on the evolutionary tree. Talking to IFL Science about the stunning fossils, Dr. Russell Garwood, a lecturer at the School of Earth and Environmental Sciences at the University of Manchester, and co-author of the Arani-leaning paper, explains that, this guy thinks that it's a spider, explains that the findings in the two papers are nevertheless pretty similar. Any apparent differences largely boil down to the semantics about how you define a spider. Should it be a thing that has spinnerets or a thing that has lost the tail? Say? I don't think this is as interesting a question as the other implications of both studies. That building a spider, as it were, is a series of stepwise changes, and we're gradually working out which order those came in. The Arani order goes back at least 305 million years, long before dinosaurs walked the Earth. The Uraranids emerged a little later, during the Permian period, shortly before the greatest mass extinction in Earth's history, something both lineages clearly withstood. This discovery means that there was a lineage of tail spider-like things that survived for at least another 200 million years for us to find this specimen. Something that Garwood considers to be really kind of cool and totally unexpected. Why is everything got to be cool? Can't just happen. Everything's got to be cool, man.
Because this guy's wistful.
Right. Wistfulness. This is fascinating. I'm fascinated by all kinds of forms of life that existed at the same time as the dinosaurs, aren't you?
Oh yes, our tiny shrew-like ancestors, and actual crocodiles, early birds, and now actual face-huggers. So it's great.
Yeah. Other kinds of reptiles as well, like mosasaurs and fucking, pterosaurs.
True. Yeah.
I mean, they're not technically dinosaurs, but they're reptiles. Because reptiles ruled the earth, and they filled a lot of the niches that mammals fill today.
Let us not forget the fish and the cucumbers, the sea cucumbers.
So yeah, that's the thing. Fish at the time of the dinosaurs were a bunch of scared fucking things that were like, oh god, we're trying not to be eaten by 18 million different things.
I mean, that's basically still what they are. Have you ever looked at a fish? They're very jumpy.
Yeah, but they occupy more predatory roles than they did back then.
Hmm.
It was pretty much sharks and reptiles back then. But I think that this is cool. I definitely think that this is cool. I was always fascinated by sea scorpions as well. Like if you watch like Walking with Monsters back in the day, that series.
Right. Yeah.
And this seems to be a more modern version of that on the land, which is what they did. They came onto land and murdered our salamander ancestors.
I hate to draw the attention away from the article, but one of the suggested articles at the top just caught my attention. Woman sues California for not recognizing Bigfoot as a species.
Oh my god, we have to read that. Let's do it. I didn't see that.
I feel like you have to prove that it is one first, but okay.
I would have to agree, but... Oh, here we go, I see it. Who is this woman? And is this her picture? It looks like...
No, I think that's Bigfoot. I know it's hard to tell, but
well,
I think
well, Dylan, I'm glad you're sure. I love how I was the one who was going to say like, well, it looks like a very nice fur coat. You're like, oh no, it's definitely Bigfoot.
I'm really hoping that it's the woman from Harry and the Hendersons.
The actress, oh, she's great. Yeah, isn't she also the mother in E.T.?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure
it's been so long.
is. I love her. Bigfoot has been spotted hundreds of times over the years. It usually turns out to be some dude in a gorilla costume or a bear, but occasionally, it turns out to be a man dressed up in a raccoon hair from head to toe, performing shamanic rituals in the woods. I remember this one. Despite all these sightings and many grainy images and videotapes, Bigfoot has not yet been officially recognized as a species. Shocking, we know. Well, now that could be rectified because a woman is suing California for refusing to recognize the Sasquatch, not to be confused with the Yeti, as an official species. Remember, they are different things.
Sure.
Claudia Ackley, a resident in Crestline, California, says she ran into a Sasquatch last March on a trail in Lake Arrowhead. Her and her daughter say they saw Sasquatch 30 feet up a tree, extremely close to them, and even managed to film the encounter.
Wait, so if he was 30 feet up in a tree...
That's what I'm saying. That's not close. Are they 30 feet up in the tree?
Are they in the tree?
Because
are
then
they 20?
Because then if it came close to the tree, fine. But, that's not close if it's up in the tree.
Are they 25 feet up the tree? And then they look up and 5 feet above them is a fucking Bigfoot? I would have to ask.
Neanderthal man with hair all over him. He had solid black eyes, she told the San Bernardino Sun.
I'm glad that she has a lot of experience with Neanderthal men.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just the dating scene, right, lady?
She's seen Geico's cavemen. He had no expression on his face at all. He did not show his teeth. He just stared at the three of us. Ackley dialed 911 to inform the authorities about the Sasquatch. Is that really the move? You call the cops?
I feel like we should change the emergency number. I've always found it weird that the emergency number
Why?
also
Why?
happens to be...
Why? Because too many people know it.
No, because it's I always thought it's kind of weird that the emergency number also happens to be 911.
Yeah, well, I mean, since then it's been a little awkward. By the way, Dylan, nobody believed her.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's astonishing. Well, because she claims to have filmed it, but not let people watch it. Like, that's immediately shady right there.
Yeah, at least Patterson had shady footage. She doesn't even have shady footage.
But like, he showed it to people. You know, like, that's really the critical factor in, you know, getting people to believe you saw Bigfoot. But she's gonna... see, this makes sense now. She's given it to Todd Standing, who's creating a new Bigfoot documentary, and it's going to be shown there. You remember Todd Standing, right? We talked to him on it. We devoted an entire episode of SOS to him.
It says here he created the Netflix series Discovering Bigfoot. She couldn't even give it to someone who was on TV.
Oh my god, I'm going to have to watch that.
At first he was skeptical.
We may have to watch that and do a video on it.
Wait, Todd Standing was skeptical at first? Did I read that right?
Yes, I know. Hey, Dylan, he's a serious researcher. Don't fucking give him shit.
See, we leave stuff on the stump, and
that's not Todd Standing, but
I know, but I like to imagine that they're all that way.
Todd Standing is the one who's really like really pissy about everything. He's the one. In
my head, though, every Bigfoot researcher is just out there putting stuff on stumps.
The gifting stump, yeah.
And then coming back the next day to see if it's still there.
Yeah, do you remember the one who was like they moved into a house and Bigfoot was like in their backyard essentially? Like they would just walk into their backyard and they'd be like, "Oh, we'll see Bigfoot tonight," without a doubt, and they didn't.
Oh yeah,
that was wild. So, all right, why is she suing people? Well, that's what I want to know. At first, he was skeptical, but after visiting the area and reviewing the footage, he was convinced enough to help her sue the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Natural Resources Agency in order to seek protection for the species. Why this encounter? It's not like something happened. She just claims that we looked at him. It's not like something happened that made her go, "Oh my god, we need to protect him."
This feels like the real life equivalent to the fucking court case for Miracle on 34th Street. Like they're gonna have to prove in a court of law that Bigfoot exists in order to make this happen. Can they use the mail in this version?
Is the mail going to help them prove Bigfoot's real if people are sending mail to Bigfoot?
I don't know.
Can Bigfoot accept mail? Is that legal?
I guess that would make more sense than in the remake when they used a dollar bill. That's definitely not going to help prove Bigfoot's real.
How did the dollar bill prove it?
Oh, well, see, what happened is Maurel Wilson walked up to the front of the courtroom and handed the judge a Christmas card and had a dollar bill in it, in which they had encircled the words, "In God We Trust," to which he then went on a lengthy speech about how if the United States government can print a recognition of the existence of God, then he can, in a similar fashion, declare the existence of Santa Claus on behalf of the state of New York.
Wow. Somebody wrote that.
Yeah.
Insanity.
I mean, I don't know if that makes more sense or more or less sense than the mail thing, though. Like if I don't even know if it's supposed to make sense. It's weird. Like if I write a letter to Raphael, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, does that mean that he is now real and recognized by the government? That seems to be the idea, that you make those things real by sending them mail. So, if you want a fictional character to be real, just send them mail, and they'll be recognized by the U.S. government. So let's see if that works for Bigfoot. We can help this lawsuit get through. The lawsuit filed in January. I want a movie made about this court case now. Yeah, I know, me too. The lawsuit filed in January alleges that the organizations are in derelict of their duty for not protecting the Sasquatch's territory, as well as damaging the reputation and public image of researchers who study the Sasquatch. For over 100 years, thousands of men and women across the state of California claim to have witnessed a bipedal hominoid creature that received its common name, Bigfoot, 60 years ago. This is directly quoted from the lawsuit. And it was published by Gizmodo. So now, is Bigfoot any relation to Littlefoot? Do we have any confirmation on that? That's all I want to know. Well, he was given the name before that was a thing, so Well, then the timeline adds up, doesn't it? I guess. We bring
to this court overwhelming evidence that proves what will be considered one of the greatest discoveries of our time. So they're claiming to have evidence, D. This is big, like they're claiming that shit.
I call to the stand Bigfoot.
Like, yeah. Imagine, oh my god. He just walks in a suit. I mean, you can't really dispute that at that point.
Mr. Bigfoot, why have you stayed out of the public eye so long? You know, I just really don't like the paparazzi.
I don't like the paparazzi. You know, I didn't want to get involved with drugs, you know.
I like to, I know I'm like super famous, but I like to lead a very private life.
I like to stay humble, you know. I like to just play basketball with the kids on the weekend, you know.
Yeah, you know, but you know, I do stuff. You know, I'm a Scientologist.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Oh, that ruins Bigfoot. He's a Scientologist. They go on to ask that the court order the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the state Natural Resources Agency to protect the habitat of the species should it exist. So here's the problem.
You don't even know what
they claim to have evidence that it exists, and they refuse to produce it unless they protect the species that they say they're not sure if it exists.
You can't protect the habitat of a species that you don't know where it is, though, because then you don't know what habitat to protect. At that point, you have to protect every habitat.
I think Todd Standing is trying to get publicity for his Netflix show, is what I think. Because
I
didn't know about it until I clicked on this article.
I feel like that's true. I feel like some poor, crazy, schizoid woman who, you know, looks a little bit like fucking, what's her face from the first season of Stranger Things, with the fucking Christmas.
Winona Ryder?
Yeah, Winona Ryder when she's got like the fucking Christmas lights. She's like, if I could just, like some crazy bitch that looks like that. She just walks up to Todd Standing like, I saw Bigfoot. I got the footage right here. If I could, and then he looks at it and he's like, oh. Yeah, totally. Let's go to court.
It's big. It has feet. For sure.
The biggest foot I've ever seen. Let's go to court, and it's really all just him.
Let's go to court. That's like her first reaction is I'll call the police. Like you see a Bigfoot and you're like, police, please come arrest this Bigfoot. Is that what she wanted them to do? Did she want the police to arrest Bigfoot?
I don't know.
Did she want to be hauled off in the paddy wagon?
What do people who go squatching plan to do should they actually happen upon Bigfoot?
That's the thing.
Do they take guns to protect themselves with?
Never. No, okay, not never. Some of them in some of the documentaries I remember them they have guns, but usually they're hunters anyway. Most of them just take cameras.
Well, I know there's like one show, isn't there, where it's like they're not just looking for Bigfoot, they're looking to fucking blow its head off. Like,
yeah, there's a few like that.
Yeah.
Where the whole idea is, we're going to kill it to prove that it's real, to save the species. And I'm like, good, okay.
Which is bullshit, because a live specimen is always better. You can make much more money that way.
Yeah, why wouldn't you just trank it? Yeah.
What you want to do is take a fucking bucket load of elephant tranquilizer, because you don't know how much it's going to take to bring it down. And there's a possibility you might OD it and kill it anyway, but, you know, that's the inherent risk that you got to take.
Yeah, and then you're going to give it fentanyl, and then it's going to be like a locomotive and attack San Diego.
Exactly. So what you're going to want to do is you're just going to shoot it full of that shit.
All over the place.
Shoot it full of that shit, bring it to New York, put it on a stage.
Mm-hmm. It'll be perfect.
Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Oh, no. Absolutely not. We'll make lots of money.
Even better, put a crown on it and hide it in a giant oil pump. That's always...
Or we could attack it with helicopters.
Or what was that? What was that thing they used to transport the Yeti in the movie Yeti?
A big fucking cage.
It was like a big cage with helicopters.
Well, but they would let him out. Remember, they would let him out and roam amongst the people, and of course, what you would expect to happen happened, and he stepped on somebody.
Right? Yeah, him and his fucking weird nipples. That's a strange movie.
It's a very strange movie. Yeti. Oh my god. So Dylan, do you want to watch the footage that she apparently recorded? This is the old footage. This is apparently back from 1997. We haven't seen the new footage yet. We'll see that in the new documentary that we're all excited for. But this is old footage.
Oh, here it is. Let's watch Clear video of Bigfoot filmed during Independence Day.
Well, why is there a question mark if it's clear?
Why are you filming while Independence Day's on? Like, my eyes ain't leaving the screen if Independence Day's on.
It's sped up. I can already see that. Oh, wow. I mean, it looks like King Kong.
Hold on, I haven't seen it yet.
It's pretty clear, but the way it's moving is very weird.
It just looks like some dude strolling through.
It looks like he's skipping. Did you see
I'm
the
off
little
to
skip?
see the wizard.
Yeah, it looks exactly like that, like skipping down the yellow brick road. Oh wow! You see the way it's like it goes on for a minute. Oh, there's two there.
I always feel like whenever I watch something like this that it's gonna be trolling me and there's gonna be a jump scare, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. This is
Like-
very strange.
Like, do you remember those fucking horrible German coffee commercials from like a few years back where it was just like beautiful scenery and then like a fucking jump scare at the end?
Yes, I do remember that.
I had forgotten those existed, and then I happened upon one of them again the other day, and I was like, "Fuck you!"
See, Dylan, I'm of two minds about this. Because on the one hand, like,
you're always of two minds about everything, Harvey.
This would have to have like a little bit of money behind it, I guess. Because
It looks too much like a gorilla in the face. Like, I know it's blurry, but it looks like it has a gorilla face. Like,
yes, like I said, it looks like King Kong, but the shape of the head is not really like a gorilla. It is more human, but it does kind of look like a costume now that I'm rewinding it. Like, especially there's no real detail on the face. That's the problem with a lot of Bigfoot like films that are clearly fake. You can see that there is no detail on the face. It's just kind of a hairy mess. And that's what I'm seeing here. It doesn't look like there's any like mouth or nose or eyes. I'm just seeing like a black felty mess, which is probably a guy blocking his face from like a bunch of fucking wind and cold. But the fact that there's a little one, that's odd. You know, that's different.
that doesn't even look as good as the Patterson footage. And that's
no,
like
because the Patterson footage has a face.
And that's super old.
Mm-hmm. But Dylan, the fact that there's a baby, that's what I'm saying. There's got to be money behind it. There's a little puppet, you know.
Yeah. Do we even know if big feet have babies?
Likely, they would. Most things do.
You know what? I almost think they're aping. See what I did there? I almost think they're trying to ape the Patterson footage.
It looks a little bit like a parody, doesn't it?
Because now I'm looking back at the Patterson footage, and the design of the Bigfoot is not entirely dissimilar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the idea of the description has always been the same, but it definitely it doesn't look exactly the same. Like, it looks. I agree with you. It looks a little bit more gorilla-like, a little more King Kong.
It feels kind of Planet of the Apes.
But the weird thing is the butt. That's what I keep going back to. Like the way the butt sticks out. Like, there's definitely because that doesn't look like an ass. It looks like a coat hanging over like some pants. Do you see that?
You're talking about in the woman's footage?
Yeah, the footage that we're watching.
Okay, let me go back to it.
Because like the Patterson footage, that Bigfoot's got a butt. She's thick as fuck. This Bigfoot has like a weird, like, triangular angle at its ass, you know?
Are you body shaming this Bigfoot right now?
If it actually has a triangular ass, I am not giving it any shit for that. But I'm just saying it looks like a coat.
You know, we can't all have dead ass though.
Yeah. You know what else? If it is a person in a suit, they're overacting. Because this Bigfoot looks like it's on fucking PCP. Like, it's...
Yeah, and it keeps looking back at the camera like, oh shit, they see me, oh shit, oh shit,
exactly.
oh shit.
Like, I don't feel like... If this were an actual Bigfoot, it would melt into the fucking woods and you would not see it again.
How come these big feet never get mad that you're filming them and, like, charge you, you know?
Yeah, but primates don't really do that. You know, depending... Like, a silverback gorilla, sure... But a female gorilla is not going to do that. And monkeys don't do that, and chimps don't really do that.
Chimps are fucking psychotic. You never know what a chimp's going to fucking do.
Yeah, but they're not going to charge you on their own. They'll conspire with their friends to kill you in your sleep and steal your child and rape them. That's what they'll do.
Yeah. or they'll become your pet and make you think that they love you, and then 20 years later they'll rip your face off.
Precisely. Dylan, I want to do one more article, and then I think we should call it a night. So let's talk about the 20-pound rodents that are invading California.
Let's. I'm familiar with the species, actually, because I've actually seen documentaries about them before. They're a huge problem down on the bayou, down in the Louisiana area. They call them swamp rats down there, and they'll fucking take your arm off. Like they're
They were
crazy.
my inspiration for asshole rats.
I had no idea that they were as far west as California. I remember there was one story.
Look at those Cheetos for teeth, man. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, I remember there was one story about a guy who was out hunting them because there's such a big problem in Louisiana that, like, you get paid by the head if you go out and kill these things. Like, there are just, like, dudes who are basically just bounty hunters for swamp rats. They just go out and kill as many as they can and then get paid for it because there's such a problem and they're just nasty, horrible creatures. But there was one story about a guy who a pack of them killed and ate his hunting dog, and then he had to get a new hunting dog.
Oh my god. Did he get revenge?
I don't know. Because, like, they're normally herbivorous, but I think they'll resort to...
All those things look like they'll fucking take your cat if they can.
I mean, look at that thing. Look at just the malice in its face.
This one's by Madison Dopsevich, which is very Russian sounding. So, new blood, let's see. Creatures are emerging from the California marshlands with orange buck teeth, webbed feet, and round rat-like tails. They can weigh more than 9 kilograms, 20 pounds, and reach lengths of up to 1 meter, 3.5 feet. No, we're not introducing the next bad horror flick. The real-life drama starring the invasive nutria is unfolding in 3 of the state's counties, and it has officials concerned. So concerned, in fact, that the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, previously being sued for the existence of Bigfoot, is setting up a hotline to track the animal.
Maybe Bigfoot could be used to fight these rats. Maybe that's the bad horror movie that we should be making.
That is a great fucking storyline.
Right.
Oh, Bigfoot versus rats. Bigfoot. What if that's the threat to Bigfoot's? Like, what if that's the reason why she's suing? Like, the rat problem is so bad that it's threatening the population of Bigfeet.
Right. What if the rats are the skull crawlers to Bigfoot's Kong?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then there's one, like, big mama rat.
Don't wake up the big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've written a pretty good knockoff of Kong Skull Island, so that's pretty cool.
I'm liking it.
We have no idea how many there are or how they were introduced. Or how they were reintroduced.
We could reach out to the effects team from Yeti: A Gay Love Story, and
let's not.
You've had dealings with them in the past. You could
rekindle those fires. Yep.
Yeah. Use your connections there.
But we don't know how to get rid of them. So they were reintroduced to the California state. They had been there before, but they have a lifespan of up to 10 years, and a breeding pair can have up to 1,600 offspring in 3 years under the right conditions. That's a lot of fucking.
What I didn't know about these creatures when I was watching that old Louisiana swamp rat thing was that they're actually invasive, and apparently we brought them over for their fur. And
we brought them in 1889, and when the fur market collapsed in the 40s, ranchers released thousands into the wild. At first, it seemed like a good idea. The nutria is a voracious herbivore and initially helps control noxious weeds. However, it soon became evident that the rodent eats almost any vegetation in its path. In North America, nutria don't have local predators to keep populations down. Since officials don't know the scope of infestation, they say it could create a serious problem for wetlands and ecosystems. The large rodents eat thick vegetation down to bare earth, and then they go for the roots. They've been known to overgraze wetland habitats and collapse levees, complete with native species, and cause erosion by tunneling into stream banks. As with most rodents, they can carry dangerous pathogens and viruses that degrade water quality and contaminate drinking supplies, parasites and disease, livestock, pets that can be transmitted to. They've ravaged Chesapeake Bay, the Pacific Northwest, so it's not the first time that this has happened. They've caused many problems in the past. I mean, this has been a problem in the U.S. for the past, 20 years. People releasing lots of animals into the wild, like fucking snakeheads in Florida.
And not just animals, too, plants. There's a thing called kudzu, which is known as the plant that ate the South, because it just grows everywhere. It's just these thick vines that, get all tangled together, and they grow in just huge patches. And it was brought over because somebody thought it was pretty, and it's, a huge problem.
Here's my thought process. Maybe all those fucking caimans and fucking pythons and dangerous reptiles that are introduced into the South every fucking year will eat all these rats, and that'll fix the problem.
Maybe we could use CRISPR to give them rat AIDS, and then just let them do their thing and kill each other off.
Or genetically engineer a super predator to wipe them all out.
Yes. A Bigfoot.
Yes! Oh my god. We've just unlocked the secret to science.
If we could get a DNA sample and clone Titanoboa and let it just eat these fucking giant rats.
Oh, yeah, there you go. See, no, Titanoboa's... Yeah, but Titanoboa might not be satisfied with that. It would start going after people and alligators. They hunted ancient crocodilians like fucking sharks hunt seals. Just strike them from the bottom. That's
true. Okay, we genetically engineer a smaller version of it. Then we might as well just bring over actual boas.
Well, we have already. That's my point.
What about anacondas?
We have done that already, too, which is even worse. So, Dylan, I don't know if we can clone smaller versions of Titanoboas, but it looks like that, regardless, we're going to have a fucking giant rat problem.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you've already got a giant rat problem. You're in New York.
Yeah. They're not that big. I mean, they're naturally supposed to be here, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the natural habitat of a rat is even supposed to be, if not a sewer.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of those sewer rats might have come over on ships.
Probably.
So.
They probably did. But yeah, I don't know what like I said, I don't know what the natural habitat of a rat is.
Right, but at least they have those sewer gators to keep their populations in
Exactly. Check. That's what we need. We just need predators to come in and get this fucking shit.
I recently saw a video online of somebody, I think it was in Florida, they found a sewer gator, just poking, just looking at them out of a drain pipe. It looked like fucking it.
Well, because it's possible.
It's fucking crazy.
Indeed. Well, Dylan, I think we've made several advancements in the field of science tonight.
I guess.
But even if we didn't, I still had a good time. Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
I think that enthusiasm has dwindled, but I think it still turned into a fascinating conversation, nevertheless. So, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Demons from Outer Space. Next time, we're going to wrap up February, and we're going to be going into Samurai Month, obviously, in March. But we have one last week to cover in February, and I thought we would make it something kind of special. So, we're going to be doing another Godzilla commentary, and we're going to be doing the first Millennium Godzilla movie that we've ever done a commentary on. So, Dylan, I'm going to assume that you forgot which one we're doing. And
actually, I haven't.
Oh, my God. Do you want to tell...
It's interesting that you mentioned it's the first Millennium Godzilla movie we've ever done a commentary on, because it's also the first Millennium Godzilla movie. Godzilla 2000. Godzilla 2000, in the long tradition of things around the turn of the millennium that had 2000 put into their title.
That we saw in theaters. I saw Pokemon 2000 in theaters as well.
Yes, I did see Godzilla 2000 in theaters. It was my first theater-going Godzilla experience. I was too young to really remember it.
Last one for a long time.
Last one for a very long time. Until 2014, but even then, not another Japanese film until 2016. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we're gonna comment on it, and it'll be fun. And then after that, Samurai Month. So
get ready for that.
Yeah, next week after we commentate on Godzilla 2000, I will reveal the first thing that will be covered during Samurai Month, and I have a suspicion that it might get some of you very excited. So.
And if it doesn't, we'll fucking find you. So, until then, I am Bill Worster, a.k.a. Zazubaar.
I'm Super Damn 64.
And that was a podcast. You heard it, and you can't unhear it. So, deal with it, motherfuckers. Good night.
You wish you could.
Do you, but you can't.